to the United Stand. Hit like buttons, get this shared across your social media platforms as well. And a brilliant new thing that YouTube have released today. And I want to know which one of you is going to come top of the charts. Who's going to come top of the community leaderboard during this stream? Get your comments in, share, get the show liked, and see where you rank against your fellow members of the United Stand community. Lots to talk about. United today, disappointing news. We have missed out on Liam Delap. Having said that, some Manchester United fans may be quite happy that they have missed out on him. But what next? Big reports that money will now be used to try and sign Brian Mbeumo. Arsenal, in the last hour, have had a big story come out from Fabrizio Romano and Florian Plettenberg that they are going in for Šeško and not Gyökeres. Talk of Chelsea looking at Victor Gyökeres, but Ekitike being their main target for the second striker they're going to buy. So does this open the door for Man United to reunite Ruben Amorim and Victor Gyökeres? Plus, we're talking about conversations today in Italy about a potential swap deal with Rasmus Højlund and Osimhen. That's been heavily reported by the Napoli's. The Napoleon press have put that out. Equally, Napoli want Alejandro Garnacho. So lots to talk about, lots to speak on today. Loads of you already tuning in, hitting like buttons. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all good. And if you ask, my voice is okay. I've just got a bit of a cold, but don't worry. I'm here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to go through it together. But look, I want to... first super chat of the day. So we'll go to this first super chat away. It says, Terry, does this mean we're still in for Gyökeres? No complaints, honestly, if Cunha and him were in our transfer window with our financial limits. Cheers. Well, interestingly, of all the other strikers that are potentially available in the market, if you look at Osimhen's, if you look at Ekitike's, Šeško's, they are all more expensive than Gyökeres. So if Man United are going to focus on bringing into the club a striker, Delap was 30 million. Gyökeres is only 25 million pounds more, or around 55 million, unless a bidding war ensues. So financially, he is a better option in that regard. It was reported by Fabrizio Romano only a few weeks ago that Man United were a team that were looking at him. He was on our radar. He's a player that we would try to look to maybe sign, but Delap was kind of the priority in that regard. But the world changes. And this is, for me, I know a lot of people hate this word, but I look at this as a potential market opportunity for Manchester United. No one yet knows why Arsenal are going for Benjamin Šeško. It was so heavily reported in the Portuguese press, who, by the way, have got a lot of things right first. They've got a lot of things right in the past. Darwin Núñez going to Liverpool as an example. They were days ahead of the English press on that. They also reported yesterday that Chelsea have made a big move for Gyökeres. And I'll get back to that in a moment, but that could be why Arsenal today have gone for Šeško. Could also be that Arsenal internally have been convinced by Mikel Arteta that he is the best suit for their system. He is the right profile to try and take them back to the very top. And so all these things are fair. I'm going to wait to see the wood for the trees before I start to judge anybody. But it's also been reported by Fabrizio that Ekitike appears to be the main striker target for Chelsea. Yes, Delap has been signed first, but you don't always sign your priority first. He was a £30 million deal. There's a very low buyout clause, very quick, simple, and easy to get done once a player agrees the personal terms. So if it's true what Fabrizio is saying, that Ekitike is the number one target, if it's true what they're saying, and Arsenal are now putting all their eggs in the Šeško basket, for whatever, I don't care the reason as a United fan for a moment, that then opens up an opportunity to look at Victor Gyökeres. Now, Man United are not the most attractive team right now in Europe. There's no doubt about it. But I want us to try. That is how I view this. I don't want us to stand on ceremony. I don't want us to just watch the parade go by. This is a player that has scored 97 goals in 103 games for Sporting. I don't care that it's in Portugal. That is an ungodly amount of goals, and we should be looking at it. We should be trying to get something done, especially after the disappointment of missing out on a target like Delap. My hope, and this is pure hope, this is pure fan fantasy, I suppose. I'm hoping the reason Arsenal have changed their mind about Šeško is because we have convinced Gyökeres to join us. The reports in Portugal could have been true. He may have agreed that the basis of his personal terms, the same way as Delap had agreed his personal terms with Man United, how much he would be paid, the shirt number, his position in the squad. He just never signed the paperwork. Players will agree personal terms with multiple clubs before deciding where to go. This is so typical in the transfer market. So that is what I'm hoping here. And it is the big hope. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really hoping. I'm hoping that the reason we sort of ended up looking a little bit silly in the Delap chase is because our heads have been turned and we have landed a better option. Now, again, as I've said, that's hope. That's me praying because Man United do need a number 9. Now, one of the other big stories today that came out from, I've seen this across multiple sources, including Dean Jones, Give Me Sport, who's a friend of mine and I know very well, is that Manchester United, if they miss out on Delap, they're going to put that money towards Mbeumo. Now, this flies in the face of my fan fantasy of wanting Gyökeres to be the striker, right? It's the opposite. But the Man United now are saying, right, because when you were reading the reports on Mbeumo, it was very much Cunha's done. United really like Mbeumo, but Delap's the priority. We've missed out on Delap. Does that now mean that we are going to throw all of our eggs into that basket? We've got a certain amount of budget, somewhere in the region of 100 odd million. Some say 100, some say up to 125. Will we go and trigger that fee of 50 million pounds with Brentford to bring him in? Now, again, I would prefer an out-and-out number 9 that I know is going to score goals, like a Gyökeres. But as we've already alluded to, he may not want to sign for Manchester United, and we'll get onto some other options up front later. So for me, if we are going to follow through with what Dean Jones has said and go all out for Mbeumo, try and get those personal terms now down, make us his number 1 priority, put that bid into Brentford for him, I'm all for it. I know he's an out-and-out number 9. Can play in that position, especially with the way United operate. But between him and Cunha, you're talking, 35, 36, 37 goals being added to this squad. Excellent age profiles, brilliant physicality, and Premier League proven. And I can't stress enough the need for Premier League proven players to be purchased. You don't just need Prem proven, but Man United, I felt that growing up, buying players that were already delivering, already doing very well in the Premier League was such an important function of how we operated. Andy Cole, Dwight York, Berbatov, Van Persie, to name just a few, Teddy Sheringham. When you look at the attackers as an example, we went and got, Eric Cantona was from Leeds. Roy Keane was from Nottingham Forest as an example. We did this on a regular, I want to say Paul Ince was from West Ham. Could have got that wrong, but Paul Ince from West Ham. We took Rio Ferdinand from Leeds. Of course, we have an amazing array of international players that we purchased. But I like the fact of trying to build a really good core, a really good group from Premier League proven players. I think it's a really, really important function. I really, really do. I really do think it is. So for me, I like the idea of this. I'd love to get your views on it, though. I'm going to go to some of your comments now about what we've spoken about so far, because you are the most important part of the United stand. And let's get the likes up as well, please, people. Let's get past 1,000 likes, nearly 6,000 people tuning in. Let's get it done. Lou here says, wouldn't be the first time we've had a manager lure one of his ex-players to the club. And look, that for me is the important. That's just why I don't want to hear, no way we're getting him. I don't want this defeatist attitude. The irony is this. The same Man United fans that will go, there's no way we're getting him, there's no point trying, are the same people that will say our club's dead, our owners don't have ambition. You have to risk failure to be successful, and I'd rather risk it. You fail with every single shot that you don't take, or you miss with every shot that you don't take. We should be trying to sign Gyökeres. If we miss, I'll take the L, but I'd rather miss with an opportunity of trying to sign someone then 100% be guaranteed to not get him because we don't try. If United gets good midfielders plus Guirassy, that plus the Guirassy dude would be like 20 plus goals. I like Guirassy. I don't know how attainable he is, but I like Guirassy. Very good player. Some flirting going off in the chat. Well, big up yourselves in the chat. Be safe, people. Be safe. We don't deserve... Okay, we'll come back to that later. Not going to happen, but would love to see Marcus Thuram at United. Yeah, I like him as a player as well, to be fair. Very, very talented player. We're not going for Delap because he's cheap. Gyökeres is more expensive. And Mbeumo is off to Newcastle because they are far more attractive. And Newcastle were the favourites. And I'm not denying that. And it's a difficult deal to get done. I'm disappointed we didn't get Delap. I've said it on this platform many a time. I like him. I fancied him as a player. I think that there's a real talent in Delap. And I'm not going to change my mind because Chelsea have landed him. They've signed a really talented young player. I've said on the United stand before, Mbeumo to Newcastle is the most likely option, but I wanted to try. Trying and failing shows you there's a plan still. And I know that people will say, oh, don't defend Ineos. I'm not defending them. I'll condemn them for failing to bring their plan to life. But it shows me there's a plan. What I am worried about and what I am concerned about is what a lot of United fans are asking this afternoon, what next? For me, if the talks about Osimhen are true, if the news report from Dean Jones that we're pushing for Mbeumo now, shows me there's a plan. It shows me that we've got a certain profile of player that we're targeting and we are trying to do everything possible to land them. That's very different from the club going, missed out on the lap. Now what? Don't know. We haven't done any due diligence. We haven't done any groundwork. We don't know the next move. That is far more sobering than just missing out on a player, for me personally. Terry versus one gorilla. Yeah, I'd do it, mate. I reckon I could win. Terry, we all know that selling the likes of Rashford, Sancho, Anthony was hard, but why can't we find smart ways to get rid of these players? Bilal, I think we have found smart ways. We loaned, I know he didn't have a great game last night, but the loans for Rashford and Anthony have created a lot of interest in them, where we're probably going to raise 80 to 90 million for the sale of both. Chelsea are now negotiating personal terms with Sancho to sign him. So that's going to be 25 million plus the salary they've covered, plus the loan fee they paid us that we've generated. And I think United will look to do that this summer. For instance, there's big talk today. This brings us very, very comfortably into a conversation around Victor Osimhen. So a big story today in Italy is claiming that Manchester United have held talks with the Napoli hierarchy about a potential swap deal involving Højlund, plus around £30 million for Victor Osimhen. Now, Victor Osimhen is a striker I rate highly. I would love to see Manchester United sign him. If I had the choice between Osimhen and Delap, I'm picking Osimhen. I like the idea of it. Equally, there's a number of teams in Italy that are very interested in Rasmus Højlund. Regardless of your or my opinion on him, his performances in or out of the Premier League, there are teams in Europe, especially in Italy, that like the idea of Rasmus Højlund. So where it becomes about being clever, where it comes down to being smart, is utilizing that. Teams are willing to pay 30, 40, 50 million pounds straight away for Rasmus. I say we cash him, we pay off the remaining money that's owed, we kind of break even to a certain degree, and we move on. If we can't do a deal like that, then looking to loan him somewhere is going to be an option. The same as I think we're going to have to, I don't think we'll sell unless Saudi come in. I think we're going to have to loan Onana this summer as an example. Loan him out. Hopefully he does well. Then you can pick up a fee for him. Get his wages covered. At least that enables us to maybe buy somebody else and to amortize things. So United have found some innovative and clever ways of loaning people out. I think the matches we've made, so the clubs that we have picked for these players to go out on loan, have worked by and large. So that is a positive. I know that no one wants to be positive about our club. I will be in that. The loan deals we've done have generated interest in us being able to sell them. So we've got hope for the same thing. But if Napoli are really interested in Rasmus, we should be talking. They're also interested in Garnacho. Now, for me, a deal, if they want both players, we're the ones who've got to receive cash, if I'm being honest with you. But for me, someone turned around to me now, Magic One, said, Terry, Napoli are going to offer you £30 million. They get Garnacho and Højlund, and you get Osimhen in return. I think I'm taking that deal. I'm taking that deal, especially then if we have the money to go and land Mbeumo. So for me, you suddenly start next season with Cunha, Mbeumo, and Osimhen as your front three. I'm excited. That's potentially 50 goals a season in the league alone. So look, I told you all before, I'm going to judge Ineos at the end of this summer transfer window based on what we deliver. I'm very frustrated today that we didn't get Delap. He's a player that I wanted. I'm very upset about it. Now, though, it's the reaction. Someone who comes from a sales background, there's many a pitch I didn't get. There's many a deal I didn't land. But what was my backup? What did my pipeline look like? How did I react to it? Was I ready for the next deal? Or did I let it throw me off track? Did it become discombobulated? This is now what I'm focusing on, the reaction to it. Let's go to some of your super chats that have come in here. First one is from Malik, who says, Vlahovic and Xavi Simons both want to leave. Not a big fan anymore of Vlahovic. I was when he was younger. I don't really feel like he's delivered and been good enough at Juve when I've watched him play. Xavi Simons, I like him. Very, very talented. We've signed Cunha, though, and I feel like they pick up very similar positions on the pitch. This year says, Gyökeres signing would lift morale. Listen, I agree with you completely. This is a man, just looking at his numbers here, right? So this season, 54 goals and 13 assists for his club this season. If you look at it in his totality, excuse me, bad cold, at Sporting, 97 goals in 102 games, 28 assists as well. He's out. I always look at percentages when I look at players. When it comes players whose job is to create and give us output, I always look at the percentages. So when you look at this and you go 97 goals plus 28 assists, divide that by the games that he has played, you are talking about, I don't know what I've done there with the maths. My maths there is awful. 97 plus 28. Okay, divide that by 102 games. That is an efficiency of 122%. In 122% of the games he plays, he's creating or scoring a goal. I don't care that it's Portugal. You lose 50% of that, you've got someone who's at a 60% output ratio. That's if he lost 50% of it. And at 55 million, it's worth the risk. I don't think he would lose 50% of it. I think you might lose 25%. You might lose 35%. But you're still in the high 70s to mid 80s, which is an extremely high level for output. And output in your strikers, output in the 10s that we have at Manchester United is so important, so imperative. So for me, yeah, it would lift morale massively. SK here says, my view on Gyökeres, Gyökeres, then Osimhen, but he's not clinical. We aren't linked with these. But Retegi, that's the Atalanta striker, yes. Thuram and also age and experience profiles. Go hard on Gyökeres. I even went to watch old Martial 9 clips. Mbeumo is fair too. Yeah, look, the guys you mentioned, they're not available. I don't really waste too much time. If there aren't any links, I don't really look at them, because players that are not pushing to leave and clubs that don't need to sell or don't have buyout clauses, the amount of money they're going to demand is so astronomical that you're not going to get them over the line. Plus, if a player doesn't want to leave, maybe if you knock on the door, they turn their head. Why would Mbeumo choose United over Newcastle, though? Look, Man United have definitely lost an element of that pool. I won't sit here and deny that. Nobody's going to sit here and say that Manchester United Football Club are at the peak of our powers. But I'm never going to sit here and believe that we can't be attractive to people, that we can't sell a project, that we can't be, Cunha was linked to a number of clubs, Arsenal being one of them over the last 6 months. Some really strong stories if you go back and find them. And Man United were the place that he wanted to be. There is an attraction in being part of a Man United group that get this club back to the top. And we're on the outside. We have very little insight into what's going on, snippets here and there. You could open up the books, though, and show the player everything you're planning, everything you're doing, and you might be able to convince him that, wow, I could be part of something very special. So that is something. Now, equally, some players will go, no, I'd rather Newcastle. I think the project's better, and that's absolutely fair. But the idea that we can't be attractive, I just disagree. Man United, when it was on its arse in the 70s, on its arse in the 80s, was still able to sign some of the best available talent in the world. Graham Souness spoke at large about this. It didn't matter how bad United got. The nickname that he and a lot of people at Liverpool had for us back then was Hollywood FC. We were still very attractive to people. Plus, we have the budgets to be able to pay very good wages, which some people don't like. But as long as they're not paying astronomically over the odds, I'm happy with it. So, if, for instance, Newcastle say we'll give you 125, 150 a week, and we were able to say we'll give you 180, as long as a player has already shown some real interest in us, then I'm not opposed to doing it. Good evening, Terry. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Emily here says we were apparently targeted Mbeumo as a 10 when we were getting Delap. So are we now targeting him as a 9 or as a 10, then get a 9 after sales? Emily, that's a really good question. And I wish I had the access to Ruben and the club to ask him that. My gut feeling, just my personal gut feeling, no insight, I'm not a journalist, is that it would be as a 10. And then we're going to look to sell Anthony's and Rashford's and Garnachos and raise the money to sign a 9. I think the reason why we went for Delap up front is because he was someone that we could get over the line quickly. There is the possibility that all the other number 9s that we're talking about and linked to, there is the possibility these could be long drawn out sagas. These could be long, even with Arsenal looking at Šeško today, it doesn't mean they're going to sign him 100%. There's a lot of talk that some of these striker transfers could take a long time this summer because the selling clubs are trying their best to create bidding wars. The players want the best deals possible. So they may not turn around and go, if you're being told as a club, look, Gyökeres ain't going to make his mind up for weeks. He's going to get these international games out of the way. He's going to go on holiday. It's going to take 4 or 5 weeks. You have to reprioritize. Do your courting, do your talking, do your whining and dining. If a player isn't going to decide where he wants to go for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, that could be why Arsenal have gone to Šeško. Maybe Arsenal go, we ain't waiting 4 or 5 weeks. We want to know what we're doing next year. And if they're only differentiating the players marginally, then they go, right, we're going for him instead. This is why it's not as simple as just what the newspapers say, because we're only being given limited information. So what Man United might do, and I love this super chat because it opens up a great conversation. And there could be, I'm not saying my rationale here is the reason, but it's a reason potentially. For instance, United go, right, Gyökeres and Osimhen are not going to make their minds up for 3 or 4 weeks. United know in that time we've got a good chance of selling players and raising more money. So what we do is go, right, but Mbeumo actually wants to make a decision quickly. He wants to know what he's doing early. So let's focus on him. Let's get him over the line, get it done, signed, and then we move back to the striker market. You have to be agile in any form of business where you're doing sales negotiations. You've got to be agile. In fact, in most businesses, you've got to be agile. I'll give you an example. Mark could be working on an amazing piece of content that is going to bang. It's going to be a great debate about the future of Manchester United. And he's done it, and Beth's involved, and Ricky's there. I show up for a little appearance. It's amazing. And we're like, the viewers are going to love this. It's going to bang. But then massive news breaks. Oh, hang on a minute. Are we going to go live? Or are we going to, or for this massive news that everybody cares about? Or are we going to release a little bit of content that everybody's going to love, but in this particular moment is not the key focus? You have to be agile. Well, we'll put that bit of content on the back burner. We'll go live because the viewers and the community cares about this news, and then we'll do that later. Football clubs have to operate with the same type of agility at times. Okay, we know we need number 9, but our remaining 2 or 3 targets are not making a decision anytime soon. Let's find a target that is looking to make a decision quickly. Let's get it done and dusted, like Cunha, like Delap has done. Unfortunately, he's gone to Chelsea, but really good challenging question there, Emily. Love that. Rob here says that Terry, do you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I have done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've got 3 black belts in 3 different styles of martial arts. Standard sort of American kickboxing, as you would call it, Korean Tang Soo Do, and a Shotokan, like that sort of style. The Thai boxing clubs and MMA clubs I went to, there wasn't really belts. I have not done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as an out by itself, by its sort of a standalone art, but it's one I'd like to do. I actually think. Hang on. No, is it? I've got one of my belts here. I think this is my Tang Soo Do belt. Here is my 4th dan belt. So as you can see, it's all wrapped up. It's my belt. I'm going to put it down nice and neatly, though, because I don't want to disrespect it. So, yeah, I've got a few, but I haven't done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I got these out. My son started doing karate, and he wanted to see all my belts. So I've got them all at the loft. Sorry. Do excuse me. We'll put that down there, out the way. But, yes, no, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is something I'd love to do. Love to do in future. Maz here. And the only reason I remember the belt is it was in here. The rest of them, my son has been playing with them. But, yeah, I'm going to put them in a nice frame for him. What I'm going to do for my son is put all my belts in, like, order of me getting them into like a nice frame, and then do one next to it where he can add his every time he gets a grading. That's the idea. Terry, since Mark isn't here, let's kidnap Mark and hide him away for a long time. Team up with handsome King Kev. Call it Kev and Terry Stand. We could do that. We could do that. That could be a plan, you know. That could be a real big plan. DM me, bruv. We'll talk about it. We could take over the United Stand. Nobody would notice. You guys would notice if Mark wasn't here, would you? I don't know. I was watching one of his videos earlier on today, and I paused it for a second. Something happened in the house, and I came back, and the expression on his face was hilarious. He was so frustrated. I love a Mark rant. Travis here, one of our members, 63 months a member. You absolute legend. Says Mbeumo isn't Premier League proven as a striker. We need a true number 9. I agree. We need a true number 9, and I wouldn't want to sign him as the number 9. I wouldn't. However, like I've said, priorities have got to be agile depending upon the lie of the land. Ramos or Schick could be targets. Actually, just been reported in the last 10 minutes that Liverpool Football Club are targeting Ramos. I'm sure that will go down well. That's come from Sam Maguire, who is a very well-respected Liverpool journalist. They said that Liverpool add Ramos to their shortlist as they look for a value-for-money attacker in the overpriced market. Now, that's really interesting. A value-for-money striker. That makes me worry they might go for Victor Gyökeres. But that tells me that they're not going to get Ekitike. They're not going to get Benjamin Šeško. And this is why I said as well, it may take time to get a striker because Liverpool are looking, but they think the market's overpriced. If one or two teams say they're all too expensive, other clubs might follow suit and go, actually, we might try and get players. If we all step back, but the players are pushing to leave, you might lower the price. That, though, could create a vacuum and United could swoop in and grab somebody. Equally, you might need to move on to other players because the strikers might go, I'm not deciding to join United yet. Or I'm not deciding to join Arsenal yet because Liverpool might come in or Madrid might come in. Or if Ramos leaves PSG might need a striker. So you think about Gyökeres. We all want him. Osimhen. If PSG get rid of Ramos, they might then have the capacity with the wages, FFP to go, let's get Osimhen now. Let's get Gyökeres. So again, the element of waiting that makes sense, but you can wait and it can scarper you as well. So that's why I love the transfer window. I'm not going to lie. I love it. There's so many permutations. It's brilliant. Malak here says, buyback clause on Garnacho or Kobe is a must. Yeah, potentially. Look, there's no talk. There's no talks currently happening about Mainu leaving. That was published yesterday, that there is no concrete talks. There's no evidence that he's going to be leaving the club at any time soon. So we'll see on that one. Shane Moore here says, I think if we go for Gyökeres, he will come because of Amorim. Would take the swap for Osimhen or go in Mbeumo and Wissa double deal. Already got the chemistry. That wouldn't be a bad connection. I would like the connection between Gyökeres and Amorim to be reunited. I'd love that. I like Osimhen. These are all players I like, but Shane, very difficult to get this done. Very, very difficult to get these deals done, to get these deals over the line, my friend. Mohammed here says, is a keeper a priority? What are your thoughts on Joan Garcia? Massive priority. And the talks that this player's this keeper's available for £20 million, which seems somewhat cheap in the current climate and the market we're in. I think it's huge. Onana is a kind of goalkeeper. No matter how good he does, he is the type of individual that will lose us 5 games minimum a season. Then you have to look at the knock-on effect he has on our confidence. Do you think any of our players trust him? Do you think any of our players feel safe when he's there? He's not commanding when he comes out for crosses. His positioning is awful. Any shot theoretically could go in, even if it's straight at him. I've seen him dive out the way of a ball. It's a massive priority in my humble opinion, but I'd love to get your take on that. This here from Gaming says, I'd like to see Cunha and Mbeumo and Eze. Yeah, I don't know if we get all 3. Now, Eze, again, I think he's got a buyout clause for around 62 million. A really talented player. Doesn't have the consistency of output or the high level of output that you've seen from Mbeumo this year, but a very talented player. My only slight concern is the last time I looked, and I could have got this wrong if I'm being honest. Let me go and look now on this. I want to say that him and Cunha pick up similar positions on the football pitch. Now, I could be wrong. I could genuinely be wrong on this, but I want to go back and check this now because I don't really look at the starting position that you see on the graphic. It starts on the left or in the middle. I often look at heat maps, where they touch the ball, where they operate. Yeah, and when you look at both their heat maps together, Cunha's a little more central, but they both pick up and touch the ball in such similar places. So the only reason why I don't think you see both, because they're similar in terms of the pockets they sit in, where they want to receive the ball, and how they want to play. Gyökeres is on 40k a week at Sporting. Arsenal are apparently offering a 10 million signing on fee and 100k a week in wages. Surely we can offer him more without breaking the bank. Well, we definitely can if players like as and when players like Rashford leave. And we haven't even mentioned the potential of Bruno going. Rashford's on 250 grand a week. If Rashford is sold and we bring in 40 million pounds, that's the majority of the Gyökeres transfer paid. Majority. We've already got 30 odd million that we tried to spend on Delap. The money's there. And this is why if for instance, so there is a race to get Gyökeres done quickly. So let's just park the other theory for a moment. And teams are coming now hard and fast for Gyökeres. For me, we should go in there and go, right, let's take a risk. Let's bid the asking price, if not a little bit more, to maybe get other clubs rejected. And then speak to Gyökeres and say, look, I know there's no Champions League football. I know there's no European football, but we believe X, Y, and Z. And if you're here, we'll get back to this level. We're back in Europe. To compensate no European football and to protect you against not getting there, we are willing to pay you a little bit more. Maybe an 11 million or a 12 million pound bonus. Maybe a contract that's worth what you said Arsenal offered him here, 100k a week. Maybe you're offering him 150 with the possibility of when we make the Champions League, it goes up to 200,000 pound a week. We have to pay a little bit here, but I think we've got to do everything in our power to try and bring him in. We really, really do. This here says, do you see Mount being a reliable number 10 next season, like at Chelsea? Listen, if Mount can stay fully fit, he can do a job for us. Is he doing a job that's worth his salary? No. Is he ever going to score or create enough in that position to warrant the 250 a week that he's on? No. It's an horrendous piece of business at the back end of the kind of Myrtle, Richard Arnold, Woodward era. And he's very difficult to move on. I like the fact the manager keeps praising him and keeps saying he's such an important player. Because I hope if we do sign the players we're linked to, we send him out on loan. I hope we do a nice loan where he plays well and then we're able to sell him to some degree. Like with Anthony. Interestingly, if we sell Anthony for, I think, 40 to 50 million this summer, we're actually going to make a 10 million pound profit on him. That's crazy. Because we signed him for, I think, 77 million pounds. Everyone likes to say 95, but that was euros. You divide that by the 5 years that we amortize it over, it's 15 million a year. You times that by the 3 payments that have already gone out, means 46 million has already been paid, which means we owe right now around 30 million pounds on Anthony. So if we sold him for 40 million, we're actually making a 10 million on this year's trading accounts. And this is how it's worked out, not net spend. We'd actually make a 10 million pound profit on how much he's costing us still this year versus how much we bring in from him, which would be amazing. And we might need to do similar with Mount. Might need to find him a loan somewhere, get him to do well. And then next summer, someone might be prepared to pay 25, 30 million for him. And then in terms of the book price versus what he's being sold for, you might make a profit. Plus, we might have a year where we can save 5 to 10 million pounds on the wages that are being spent. Is that Marco Alcaraz story real? I haven't seen that story. I have no idea what that's about. Who is that? Marco. It says here he's a Filipino actor. I don't even know who he is. So, yeah, no idea, mate. Mateta already plays in an Amorim formation. This is very true. And we haven't really spoke much on Mateta yet. And it's a really good time to bring that up. Goldbridge and I were speaking about this earlier. And I was someone that wasn't a very big fan of Mateta maybe 4 or 5 months ago, maybe about 18 months ago. I didn't see, he weren't scoring goals. He was a presence, but he wasn't scoring goals, looked a little clumsy. The last 18 months, he's become an absolutely fantastic football player. Absolutely fantastic player. Sorry, someone's put the Marco. Okay. I thought Marco Alcaraz was a player. You say he's a Man United transfer expert here. says that Ruben Amorim is applying massive pressure on Manchester United board to pull all the stops for Gyökeres. He's fully convinced by the striker and desperate for a reunion. Look, I don't know who this man is and how credible he is, so I'm not gonna pass judgment. I hope Ruben Amorim is putting that pressure on them, though. I hope what he's saying is true and he's putting big pressure on them to sign him. I really, really do. Thank you for sending that through to me, Matt. I appreciate that. But on Mateta, I've grown to really like and respect Mateta. He's a handful. Look, is he on the same level as some of the other names? I think he's better than Delap. You know, if someone said to me now, Šeško or Mateta, I'd probably pick Mateta. Ekitike or Mateta. Ekitike maybe, but I think that Mateta is maybe a little bit more proven. He's got that Premier League element where he's already played here. I'd sign Gyökeres and Osimhen over Mateta, but he's far greater an improvement on what we have. He can still bang in 15 goals a season in the Man United team, and we need strikers that score goals. He'd be a presence for us. His availability is good. I mean, there's no links to him whatsoever. There's just a lot of fans talking about it, but I really like him. I really like him, and I know Palace fans won't like me for saying it. But yeah, if we would be linked with him tomorrow or we sign him tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't sit here and cry about it. Liam here says, who do we go for now? Because Delap's joining Chelsea. Gyökeres, no chance in my opinion. And don't get me started on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, look, if we end up signing a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we're screwed. We're screwed. If we try and sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we are genuinely finished. Wallahi, we're finished. We'd be absolutely done if that's who we sign, because he scores less goals than Rasmus. So that would be crazy. As we've alluded to, I think that there's players out there like Mateta you can look at. There's the potential here with the Osimhen deal. When you say there's no chance with Gyökeres, I'm not convinced there's no chance. I think if we push hard enough, we can get it done. Outside of those players, though, I don't know. To be honest with you, Liam, I don't know. I don't know. As in, off the tip of my tongue or at the forefront of my mind, who would I go for? I don't know. I'd love to get your views on that. I'd love to get your opinions out there. Who would you go for if the guys we've mentioned tonight are not available? And Nkunku, no chance. Absolutely no. I wouldn't go for Vlahovic either. I mean, Vlahovic is an improvement on what we've got. So what I wouldn't mind doing is dropping 20. Do you know, I'll give you this example. I gave this example earlier on the football terrace. Keep what we've got or sign Ollie Watkins. I'm signing Ollie Watkins. Would I sign Ollie Watkins over Gyökeres, over Mateta, over Ekitike, Osimhen? No. But he's an improvement on what we've got. If we're going to buy a sort of makeshift, it has to be much better than what we've got, but not too expensive. What we can't afford to do is drop £55 million on a player, £60 million on a player that we know that if we improve, we're going to look to replace really quickly. So if you could pick up a Watkins because they don't want him anymore, at say 45 million, that's at the top end that I would probably look at doing. This here from Darren says, are we still getting a new keeper? I hope so, Darren. I really hope that's something we do. I think it's imperative that we get that done. Would you take R7 back, or is he washed? Experienced striker in the Prem. No, I wouldn't take him back. 3 years ago, he was lacking the physicality. He scored goals still. Got some goals. But he was lacking the physicality 3 years ago. The Premier League has got faster and stronger since, and he's got 3 years older. I just wouldn't do it to him. I wouldn't do it. Jonas here says, thoughts on a lesser signing. I'm dyslexic. It's hard for me to read that. Is that Batrina? I don't know who these players are, to be honest with you. They're not players that I've personally come across or remember. Maybe I've seen them play, but didn't remember them. Martin Batrina is a Croatian striker, again, 22 years of age, currently playing for Dynamo Zagreb. Again, I don't know much about him. Was that 4 goals? No, I think we don't need players like that. And what I mean, but I'm not saying he isn't talented and won't become good. I think if we're going to sign someone like a lesser signing, it needs to be someone that's more experienced and Premier League proven. I'd rather go through the Premier League and go through the strikers in the EPL, you know, and go, right, which one of these guys could do us a job as an example, if they're going to cost a similar amounts of money, you start going through the list of strikers. That's what I would do personally. I wouldn't do a young unknown player at this point to be a striker for us. We have come out of this transfer window with a 9. We have to come out of this transfer window with a 9, even when I don't really think we have the numbers to move on Højlund. You're spot on, Em. You're spot on, Em. We cannot finish this transfer window without a number 9. That would be horrendous. We need players that can score us goals. Now, if we sign the number 9 who wasn't a prolific goal scorer, but great with the hold-up play, good level of creativity, would help bring an Mbeumo and a Cunha and a Bruno and an Ahmad into the game to score goals, we can get away with that. You can get away with that in the short term. If you had a kind of Firmino-esque striker, never going to score you 30 goals a season, but will help facilitate and bring the team together, that I wouldn't mind. But there has to be someone that can play that number 9 role. I agree. N here says, I went to Crystal Palace versus Man United game. Mateta ripped us a new one. He was clinical, strong, and reliable up top. He's also Prem-proven baller. It's just a great super chat and a very, very good point, because the Premier League has become so physical. And I think in the last 2 to 3 years, it's gone up another level. And we need players that are good with the ball at their feet, that are clinical, that have got technical ability. But we need some power. We need some strength. We need some athleticism and some acceleration. We really, really lack it. If we get Mbeumo too, Kluivert as a backup, yeah, Kluivert's a decent attacker. You know, I mean, we're talking strikers. Like, he wouldn't be at the top of my list, but someone like an Evan Nilsson, as an example. I don't know how expensive he would be, but someone like him, again, we can't start the season without a number 9. It's a decent shout. It really, really is a decent shout indeed. Ivan here says, Gyökeres, Osimhen, Watkins. Yeah, I'd probably put them in that order too, although I really like both the victors. I do. Emily says, if we sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we have to build an extension on the treatment room. No, I agree. That would just be the most stupid signing ever. I'm not a United hater, but I just hate Bruno, Onana, Lindelof, Delo, Amorim, Rashford, Sancho, Shaw, your own. Okay, we'll move on from that. I thought you were going to say something funny. It was just, just sign Weghorst back. He's better than some of the other players we've got. Vardy at 40, too old now. Maybe Vardy at 35 would have been a good opportunity. Eze, Osimhen, and Ahmad. That would be a wonderful, technical, high goal scoring group of players together. I think you put them together as a group would be brilliant. Mateta is better than Delap. Yeah, if I had the choice between Mateta and Delap, I'm picking Mateta. I agree. Especially, how old is Mateta? How old is Mateta? I haven't even looked, but how old is that man? I did have his details up a second ago. Is he 25? 26? 27. He's about to turn 28. I like as well. He's a great age profile. 14 Premier League goals this season. 14 Premier League goals. His time at Palace now. I mean, he's played 152 games and he barely scored to begin with. But you actually look at his last 18 months, that's where most of his goals have come from. Excellent. Let's have a look at some more of your comments coming through here. Why did he keep saying Gyökeres and Osimhen's name like that? Gyökeres is his name, right? And Osimhen is his name, right? Am I saying it wrong? Maybe it's my accent. I apologize if anyone's offended, but I'm sure you'll get over it. I'm sure you will get over it. What other topics we haven't spoken about yet? Looks like Sancho's going to go. Looks like Sancho is going to go. Some really credible reports this afternoon that Chelsea want him. They're just trying to make him lower his wages, which I think was always going to happen. He didn't do enough at Chelsea for them to say, you're a £250,000 a week or £200,000 a week player. He's going to have to reduce them. How do you guys see that going? How do you guys see that going? Seeing everybody shout freedom. He's getting his freedom. You are right. He is getting his freedom. For me, I'm over the moon. If they do it and get it, it's one less job for Matt Hargreaves. It's one less job for the board to undertake this summer. So yeah, fingers crossed they're able to get that done. But I'd love to get your take on it, people, in the comment section below. Sancho is a brat. He won't take the wage reduction. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I think maybe he will. I've got a feeling it depends on how much of a reduction. Hey, pal, not fussed about Liam Delap. It's the Ineos budget. It's Ineos budget, not Amorim's. Don't see the best in class India to cash in on Bruno 100%. But the best in class thing, it's we're aiming for the best in class, but you've also got to aim. We're not the only fish in the pond, so we've got to build to that as an example. But I think what I will say is signing someone like Cunha is one of the best things. He's one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe for our system. One of the best. So he's one of the best in class for that. Let's see what else we can do. Let's have a little look here. We shouldn't limit our search for a striker to Europe. South America has talent that can light up the world. This is a very, very good point. Very, very good point indeed. What's the risk with Gyökeres? Well, he's not overly expensive. He's not demanding the most ridiculous wages. So it's relatively low risk. Now, he would be cheaper to buy most likely than Rasmus was. So I don't think it's a massive risk personally. Why aren't we going for Aït-Nouri? I think the reason why Man United are not looking at Aït-Nouri, and that's coming from Riyadh, is because Manchester City are looking at him, and I think that's where his eyes are. Sometimes you won't see your club linked with a player, and it isn't because we don't rate them. It's because we may make a very early inquiry, and the club's told, yeah, look, Man City are leading that race. The players, that's where he wants to be. So you just don't bother. There's no point wasting your time. For instance, if Amorim messages Gyökeres tomorrow and says, look, we're going to make a massive bid for you tomorrow, and Gyökeres says, don't bother, I'm not going to join. For £1 million a week, I'm not going to join. I'm going Arsenal. I'm going Chelsea. Then it's not about us not being in for the player. It's about not wasting time trying to sign a player who doesn't want to join you. And I think that, for me, is the important factor, is do they want to join you? Do they want to be part of the football club? If they're not, they're at least needs. I don't mind what Delap did to a certain degree. Really interested. That's really great. I'm going to think about it. If the answer's no, I want to. But this is what Bruno Fernandes, when he was approached by Barcelona, Liverpool, Spurs, when we wanted him, he told his agent straight, just tell everyone else, no, I'm going Man United. So it wasn't that other clubs didn't try and sign him. He just told everybody no from the outset, is what I would say to that. We are a shambles, is what Rob Zombie says here. What are you guys saying here? Why would Rashford walk away from 350k a week? Don't be so bloody stupid. But Rashford's going to be given a good contract wherever he goes. He really, really is. He really is. And, they're pushing hard. They've had some really good conversations with Barcelona. There's an opportunity there. It won't be Villa that he goes. If they'd have made the Champions League, Villa would have tried to sign him, because you could see up until Rashford's injury, they were picking him over Ollie Watkins for their big games. They really wanted him at their club. I think there's a great chance for Barca. Let's see what PSG do. But I think Man United will find a solution with him, personally. Any players we can buy from Southampton? Well, you've got Diblin as an example. I'm not too sure outside of that. I didn't watch Southampton play enough this year, if I'm being honest with you. Look, I want to thank every single person that has tuned into the show this evening. If you could do me a big favor before you leave and smash the like button. We're closing in on 2,000, over 7,000 of you watching. So there really should be 7,000 likes, if we're being honest. Let's get that done. I'm not too sure who's come out on top as the best commenter today. I won't be able to see it because I don't have the admin controls I do on the Football Terrace. And maybe it's not turned on here yet. On the Football Terrace, it shows like a community leaderboard. So I don't know if you guys can see that. If you guys are tuning in, the mods can see it. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. Mark will be back with you, or somebody will be back. I assume it's Mark tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm actually back 3 times next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, I am here on the United Stand. If you want to come see more of my content, mine and Mark Goldbridge's podcast is now out on my platform, The Football Terrace. Come out and check that channel out. Mark won't mind me having a shameless plug. I know a lot of you have recently subscribed to it, which is so humbling. So thank you. But until next time, to the best Man United community in the world, thank you. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.